Pakistan's constitution has witnessed numerous amendments over the decades, each leaving its own mark on the nation's governance. But the 27th Constitutional Amendment is making headlines for its potential to reshape democracy, governance, and the political balance in the country. What exactly is this amendment? Why is it sparking such heated debate among politicians, experts, and the public? Most importantly, does it truly strengthen our democratic system, or does it pose new challenges? In this video, we'll break down everything you need to know about the 27th Amendment, its background, key features, pros and cons, and what it could mean for Pakistan's future. Let's start with the basics. The Constitution of Pakistan is the supreme law of the land, outlining the structure of government, the rights of citizens, and the division of powers between federal and provincial authorities. Since its adoption in 1973, the Constitution has been amended multiple times to address evolving political, social, and legal needs. Amendments are made to clarify, update, or improve the functioning of the state, but they can also be controversial, especially when they touch on sensitive issues like representation, autonomy, or the balance of power. Amendments to the Constitution are not made lightly. They usually arise from the need to address gaps, ambiguities, or changing realities in Pakistan's political and legal landscape. Sometimes, amendments are introduced to strengthen democracy and improve governance. Other times, they are driven by political interests or to resolve specific crises. Understanding why amendments are proposed helps us evaluate their true impact and the motivations behind them. The 27th Constitutional Amendment was proposed in response to ongoing debates about electoral reforms, provincial powers, and the need for greater transparency in governance. It was introduced at a time when calls for reform were growing louder, with various political parties and civil society groups demanding changes to ensure fairer representation and accountability. The amendment's timing reflects both political pressures and genuine concerns about the effectiveness of Pakistan's democratic institutions. So, what does the 27th Amendment aim to change? The amendment targets several key areas: electoral reforms to make elections more transparent and credible, adjustments to provincial powers to clarify the roles of federal and provincial governments, changes in representation to ensure fairer participation, and potential modifications to the judiciary's role in overseeing these processes. Each of these areas is crucial for the functioning of a healthy democracy, and changes here can have far-reaching consequences. Let's break down the main clauses of the 27th Amendment in simple terms. The amendment proposes to enhance the powers of the Election Commission, introduce stricter rules for political party funding, and redefine the process for appointing members to key constitutional bodies. It also seeks to clarify the division of powers between the federal and provincial governments, aiming to reduce ambiguities that have led to disputes in the past. These clauses are designed to promote transparency, accountability, and smoother governance. The 27th Amendment is distinct from the previous 26th Amendment in several ways. While the 26th Amendment focused primarily on the merger of tribal areas into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and related administrative changes, the 27th Amendment is broader in scope. It addresses electoral reforms, provincial powers, and the functioning of key institutions. This marks a shift from regional integration to systemic reforms affecting the entire country. Several political parties and figures have voiced their support for the 27th Amendment. Proponents argue that the changes will strengthen democratic institutions, promote transparency, and ensure fairer representation. Supporters include members of the ruling party, reform-minded politicians, and some civil society organizations. They believe the amendment is a necessary step toward modernizing Pakistan's political system. On the other hand, opposition parties and some independent analysts have raised concerns about the amendment. Critics argue that certain clauses could centralize power in the federal government, reduce provincial autonomy, or weaken independent institutions. They caution that the amendment might be driven more by political motives than by genuine national interest, and warn of potential implementation challenges. One of the main advantages of the 27th Amendment is its emphasis on promoting transparency in governance. By empowering the Election Commission and introducing stricter rules for political party funding, the amendment aims to make the political process more open and accountable. This could help restore public trust in elections and reduce the influence of money in politics, which has long been a concern in Pakistan. Another key benefit is the strengthening of Parliament and the Election Commission. By clarifying roles and responsibilities, the amendment seeks to ensure that these institutions can function independently and effectively. This could lead to more robust checks and balances, better oversight of government actions, and a stronger foundation for democratic governance. Improving representation is another advantage highlighted by supporters. The amendment's provisions for fairer participation in key bodies and clearer rules for appointments are intended to ensure that all regions and groups have a voice in the political process. This could help address long-standing grievances about underrepresentation and foster a more inclusive democracy. Supporters also argue that the 27th Amendment aligns constitutional practices with democratic principles. By updating outdated procedures and introducing modern standards for governance, the amendment could help Pakistan's democracy evolve and adapt to contemporary challenges. This alignment is seen as crucial for the country's long-term stability and progress. However, critics warn that the amendment could centralize power in the federal government at the expense of provincial autonomy. By redefining the division of powers, there's a risk that provinces may lose some of their ability to make independent decisions. This concern is particularly relevant in a diverse country like Pakistan, where regional identities and interests are strong. Another major concern is the potential weakening of independent institutions. If the amendment gives too much power to the federal government or political parties, it could undermine the independence of bodies like the judiciary or the Election Commission. This could erode public confidence in these institutions and make it harder to hold those in power accountable. Some analysts argue that the 27th Amendment may be more about political maneuvering than genuine reform. They point to the timing of the amendment and the interests of those promoting it, suggesting that it could be used to consolidate power or sideline opponents. This raises questions about whether the changes truly serve the national interest or are primarily designed to benefit certain groups. Finally, there are concerns about how the amendment will be implemented. Some clauses are seen as ambiguous or open to interpretation, which could lead to confusion or disputes down the line. Effective implementation will require clear guidelines, strong oversight, and cooperation between different levels of government, challenges that have often plagued past reforms. Legal experts and political analysts have weighed in on the 27th Amendment, offering a range of perspectives. Some praise the amendment for its potential to modernize governance and strengthen institutions. Others caution that without proper safeguards, it could undermine the very principles it seeks to uphold. For example, one legal scholar noted, "Reforms are necessary, but they must not come at the cost of institutional independence." Public opinion on the 27th Amendment is mixed. Some citizens welcome the changes, hoping they will lead to fairer elections and better governance. Others are skeptical, fearing that the amendment could be used to serve political interests rather than the public good. Social media and news outlets have featured lively debates, reflecting the amendment's significance and the high stakes involved. Judiciary plays a crucial role in interpreting and upholding constitutional amendments. With the 27th Amendment, courts may be called upon to resolve disputes over its implementation or clarify ambiguous provisions. The independence and credibility of the judiciary will be essential in ensuring that the amendment is applied fairly and in accordance with democratic principles. One of the amendment's most significant aspects is its focus on electoral reforms. By tightening regulations around campaign financing and party operations, the amendment aims to create a level playing field for all candidates. This could help reduce corruption, increase voter confidence, and make elections more competitive and transparent. The amendment also addresses the delicate balance between federal and provincial powers. By clarifying responsibilities and decision-making authority, it seeks to reduce conflicts and improve cooperation. However, the effectiveness of these changes will depend on how well they are implemented and whether provinces feel their interests are adequately protected. Ensuring fair representation is a core goal of the 27th Amendment. By updating the rules for appointing members to constitutional bodies and increasing transparency in the selection process, the amendment aims to give all regions and groups a stronger voice. This could help bridge divides and foster national unity. Accountability is another pillar of the amendment. By introducing stricter oversight of political parties and public officials, the amendment seeks to deter corruption and abuse of power. Effective accountability mechanisms are essential for building public trust and ensuring that leaders act in the national interest. Despite its strengths, the amendment contains some ambiguous clauses that could be interpreted in different ways. This ambiguity may lead to legal challenges or disputes over implementation. Clear and precise language is crucial to avoid confusion and ensure that the amendment achieves its intended goals. To understand the significance of the 27th Amendment, it's helpful to look at the history of constitutional changes in Pakistan. Previous amendments have addressed issues ranging from the structure of government to the rights of minorities. Each amendment reflects the political climate of its time and the challenges faced by the country. Comparing the 27th Amendment to earlier changes helps highlight its unique features. While some amendments focused on expanding rights or integrating regions, the 27th is notable for its emphasis on systemic reforms and institutional strengthening. This comparison underscores the evolving priorities of Pakistan's leaders and society. Civil society organizations have played an important role in shaping the debate around the 27th Amendment. By advocating for transparency, accountability, and inclusive governance, these groups help ensure that the amendment reflects the needs and aspirations of ordinary citizens. Their involvement is a sign of a vibrant democracy. Media has been instrumental in informing the public about the 27th Amendment. News outlets, talk shows, and online platforms have provided analysis, interviews, and debates, helping citizens understand the stakes and form their own opinions. This widespread coverage highlights the amendment's importance and the public's interest in constitutional reforms. International observers are also watching the 27th Amendment closely. constitutional reforms in Pakistan can influence the country's global image and its relationships with other nations. Transparent and democratic processes are often seen as indicators of stability and progress, which can affect foreign investment and diplomatic ties. Despite its potential benefits, the 27th Amendment faces significant challenges. Political divisions, legal ambiguities, and resistance from vested interests could hinder its implementation. Overcoming these obstacles will require strong leadership, consensus building, and a commitment to democratic values. At the same time, the amendment presents opportunities for meaningful reform. By addressing long-standing issues in the electoral system and governance, it could pave the way for a stronger, more accountable democracy. The key will be ensuring that reforms are implemented fairly and transparently. Looking back at previous constitutional amendments, we see that successful reforms require broad support, clear objectives, and effective implementation. Lessons from history remind us that rushed or poorly designed changes can create new problems. The 27th Amendment's fate will depend on how well these lessons are applied. Members of Parliament have expressed a range of views on the amendment. Some see it as a chance to modernise Pakistan's political system, while others worry about unintended consequences. Parliamentary debates have highlighted both the potential and the pitfalls of the proposed changes. Legal challenges are likely as the amendment is implemented. Courts may be asked to interpret specific clauses or resolve disputes between federal and provincial authorities. The outcome of these cases will shape how the amendment is applied and its long-term impact on Pakistan's legal system. If implemented effectively, the 27th Amendment could improve governance by making institutions more accountable and responsive. However, if mismanaged, it could create new sources of conflict or weaken key checks and balances. The ultimate impact will depend on political will and public oversight. The 27th Amendment is a test of Pakistan's commitment to democratic values. Its success or failure will send a message about the country's direction, toward greater openness and participation, or toward centralization and control. The choices made now will shape the future of democracy in Pakistan. Public engagement is crucial for the success of any constitutional reform. Citizens, civil society, and the media must continue to scrutinize the amendment and hold leaders accountable. Active participation will help ensure that the amendment serves the public good and strengthens democracy. Recap: the 27th Amendment offers several potential benefits: greater transparency, stronger institutions, improved representation, and alignment with democratic principles. If implemented well, these changes could help build a more accountable and inclusive political system in Pakistan. On the other hand, the amendment also poses risks: centralization of power, weakening of independent institutions, political motivations, and implementation challenges. Addressing these concerns will be essential to realizing the amendment's full potential and avoiding unintended consequences. As Pakistan moves forward, the 27th Amendment will remain a topic of intense debate and scrutiny. Its long-term impact will depend on how it is implemented, interpreted, and adapted to changing circumstances. Continued vigilance and engagement from all sectors of society will be necessary to ensure that constitutional reforms truly serve the nation. The story of Pakistan's constitution is one of constant evolution. Each amendment reflects the hopes, fears, and aspirations of its people. The 27th Amendment is the latest chapter in this ongoing journey, offering both opportunities and challenges for the country's democracy. In conclusion, the 27th Constitutional Amendment has the potential to shape Pakistan's future in profound ways. Whether it strengthens democracy or politics will depend on how it is used and who benefits from its provisions. The coming months and years will reveal whether the amendment delivers on its promises or falls short. Every constitutional amendment shapes Pakistan's future, sometimes for stability, sometimes for control. The 27th Amendment could be a step forward or a step back, depending on how it's implemented and interpreted. It's up to all of us, citizens, leaders, and institutions, to ensure that constitutional reforms strengthen democracy and serve the public good. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into the 27th Constitutional Amendment. Stay informed, stay engaged, and continue to participate in the democratic process. For more breakdowns of Pakistan's legal and political developments, keep watching and stay curious about the forces shaping our nation.